to my channel. So it seems like every single week I'm making a different video about Latisha because there's just so many updates, because left and right she's screwing over someone else and there's just more information coming out. Last time we talked about Latisha, we talked about how she was being evicted for the third time this year, and she was set to be evicted towards the end of December. And then she posted on her Facebook a few days after that, like, oh, don't listen to the haters. We're not getting kicked out of our office anytime soon. So the landlord ended up winning in court on December 27th and was scheduled to retake possession of the office space that upcoming Tuesday. But as soon as Latisha found out that the landlord had won and she was going to have to be evicted from her business, that same day, Latisha faxed in a bankruptcy filing that she filled out all by herself, and due to her filing for bankruptcy, that delayed her eviction, and she would have to wait until March 24th for her next hearing to find out if she's going to pay her bankruptcy filing fee and actually do the bankruptcy. Here's the thing though. When you try to delay an eviction by filing a fraudulent bankruptcy filing, that's bankruptcy fraud. And Latisha herself has admitted that she's done bankruptcy fraud in an interview with Kiki and Kibitz. And now the courts have found out about that interview and about a Sarcasm article. And because of that, they ended up putting in a motion to dismiss her bankruptcy filing and move forward with the eviction. So what happened was, Latisha did a interview with Mary from Kiki and Kibitz a few months ago where she was trying to tell her side, and Mary asked her about her bankruptcy filings. This is what Latisha said word for word. She said, I'll say it now because I'm not going through it anymore, but I would file to stop things from happening, aka stop eviction from happening. And she says, I think the first one me and my husband did, and this one I was 21 and he had a bunch of debt or whatever and we were married and I didn't know no better, so I just did what he said. So now that I knew what the bankruptcies could do, like the automatic stay, which sounds exactly what she's doing in this situation, she says, keep people from effing with you. So whenever, I was very irresponsible for a very long time, I would go that route, and I would try to do it myself. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I would usually just drop it, and so that's what happened. And she said that's illegal to file bankruptcy with no intention to continue to file. So don't do that, people, because it's actually very effing illegal. It's called, I think it's bankruptcy fraud. And yes, it's called bankruptcy fraud, Latisha. And she says, I don't know what it's called, something like that. Don't do it. I mean, how dumb do you have to be to straight up admit to committing bankruptcy fraud in the past on a public platform and then turn around and this appears to be what you're trying to do again, and even the courts agree. So Latisha just didn't do that this time. She's done that numerous times over the years, and according to Sarcasm, she literally just did the same thing last year in September of 2022 after a landlord filed a lawsuit due to unpaid rent and other expenses. And 1 week after the lawsuit was filed, Latisha filed for bankruptcy, but she ended up getting denied because she didn't completely fill out the paperwork. She requested to pay in installments, and she also applied for bankruptcy under her business, not just as herself as an individual. And they turned her down for numerous reasons. They said that she could not apply to pay in installments if she was doing bankruptcy through her business. She could only do it if she was doing it as an individual, and they gave her a deadline to pay the bankruptcy filing fee by, which she never did, and she didn't fully complete her paperwork, and there's numerous other errors in her bankruptcy filing to why it did not go through. And so now when she tried to do it this time, the courts actually got a hold of this sarcasm article reporting on all this, and I will leave it linked in the description. And they got a hold of that interview where she admitted to bankruptcy fraud in the past. And this is what they say. They say the debtor, which is Latisha in this case, filed a voluntary petition under Chapter 11, December 27th, without the assistance or representation of an attorney. Latisha identified itself as a corporation on the petition and designated itself as a small business. And to date, they have not filed any documents along with its petition, including. So just like the bankruptcy filing in September 2022, there was a lot of errors in this recent bankruptcy filing. She had a lot of spots she left blank. She did not include the documents she needed. And once again, she said that she was filing for bankruptcy under her business, but she said she needed to pay in installments. But we already saw from the 2022 bankruptcy filing that they turned her down for paying in installments because she filed under her business. So I don't know why she thought she would be able to try to get away with it this time if they turned her down last time. So it says Latisha failed to comply with the order directing it to secure counsel and pay the filing fee in full by September. Okay, so this is actually bringing up her September 2022 bankruptcy filing fee, and it's pointing out that they believe she's doing the same thing she did in her September filing. So it says a filing fee balance remains due in this case in the amount of $1,717. Based on the current failure to pay the filing fee in full and the apparent lack of counsel, Latisha is not eligible to proceed under Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And it says it also appears that Latisha's case was filed in bad faith. And that is huge to actually have that in court paperwork. And I would be scared if I was Latisha, because she could very easily be facing bankruptcy fraud charges now that the court knows about all this. It says, in the present case, Latisha also falsely stated on her bankruptcy petition that she had not filed a prior bankruptcy in the last 8 years. And they found and they believe that Latisha has filed at least 6 prior bankruptcy cases between 2012 and 2018 in the Southern District of Iowa, and each case was dismissed without the receipt of a discharge. And the courts were informed, and they believed that Latisha filed the instant case on the same date she was ordered to remove from the premises because she just wanted to buy herself some time. And it says on December 27, 2023, an order for forcible entry and detainer was entered in an eviction action in the Iowa District Court. And it says they have further received information from a third party that Latisha, aka Latisha Griffin, acknowledged in an online interview that she filed multiple bankruptcies to delay debt collection, and acknowledged that obtaining a bankruptcy stay solely for the purpose of thwarting creditors is illegal. The article, and so of course they read off what I just read you guys earlier, what she said in that interview, where she admits to, yes, I did bankruptcy fraud in the past as a way to delay having to move when I got sued and evicted. Then you can see in the very bottom where they source a sarcasm article talking more about Latisha's evictions and her bankruptcy filings in the past, and the link to the interview. And it says applications of the standards set forth above would compel the court to dismiss Latisha's case as having not been commenced in good faith. Latisha, in its principal, habitual, and intentional non-compliance with the bankruptcy code, the rules, as well as this court's prior orders, evidence that the purpose of this filing is solely to frustrate Latisha's landlord's ability to evict Latisha from its business location. Ms. Collier is clearly attempting to game the system to use the bankruptcy process for purposes for which it's not intended for, thereby causing harm and delay to Latisha's creditors seeking to exercise state law remedies. According, the UST submits that dismissal of this case with prejudice is in the best interest of Latisha and the estate. The dismissal of a Chapter 11 may be made with prejudice to filings, so Latisha has until the 16th to object this case. It's about time, because it seems like she's been using this loophole for years now, and it's not fair to all the landlords, especially like this landlord in this location already having to go months without payment, and if this didn't happen they would have to go until at least March 24th without even more payment because she did this bankruptcy fraud, allegedly. That's what it's looking like, and that's what the courts are thinking. And I feel like if she tries fighting it, that'd be pretty stupid in her case, because they're just gonna dig even deeper, and then she may be facing some bankruptcy fraud charges, and those are some serious felonies right there. So she did try to have the judge seal the case when she initially filed for bankruptcy after she got the eviction, and she asked the judge to seal it, but the judge turned it down because he didn't feel like it was necessary. So of course sarcasm got a hold of her trying to request the bankruptcy filing, and I also feel like she was trying to do that because she didn't want her other bankruptcy filings being brought up after they saw this kind of suspicious behavior coming from her. Colleen, the girl who paid Latisha $10,000 through her business to do her bookkeeping services, she's still moving forward with a lawsuit against Latisha and her business. And remember the girl we talked about who was calling out Latisha on Facebook because she claims that she was a friend of Latisha and she loaned her $5,000? Well, Latisha never paid her back, and Latisha just was like, oh, she wants to call me out, I'm not going to pay her back, even though she clearly didn't have any intention of paying her back before that. But now that girl is taking her to court. And last week, a lawsuit was filed against Latisha in small claims court for $5,095, so the walls are just closing in on Latisha. One thing I continuously hear Latisha say when she's trying to defend herself, she's like, you know what, I've changed. I've grown a lot. And she's trying to say she's nowhere near as bad as she was like back in the day. And I don't, on one hand, I was like, maybe she's not as bad as she used to be. Because at one point, like in early 2010, it seemed like she was getting a felony every year, multiple felonies a year. And like she has an even longer criminal history than her own criminal husband. But honestly, I think Latisha's the same exact person. She's just learned how to move smarter. But now it just seems like all that's starting to catch up with her. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Check out my lashes and cosmetics at AccordingtoAmber.com. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.